This COP26 is so far just like the previous COPs, and that has led us nowhere. They have led us nowhere.
Inside COP, there are just politicians and people in power pretending to take our future seriously, pretending to take the present seriously of the people who are being affected already today by the climate crisis. We say no more blah blah blah, no more exploitation of people and nature and the planet, no more exploitation, no more blah blah blah, no more whatever the fuck they're doing inside there. We're sick and tired of it, and we're gonna make the change, whether they like it or not.
This is all we hear from our so-called leaders. Words that sound great, but so far has led to no action. Our hopes and dreams drown in their empty words and promises. Of course we need constructive dialogue, but they've now had 30 years of blah blah blah, and where has that led us? Over 50% of all our CO2 emissions have occurred since 1990, and a third since 2005. All this while the media is reporting on what the leaders say that they're gonna do instead of what they are actually doing. And then not holding leaders accountable for their action, or rather inaction. And don't get me wrong, we can still do this. Change is not only possible, but urgently necessary, but not if we go on like today. They say they want solutions, but you cannot solve a crisis that you do not fully understand. You cannot balance a budget if you do not count all the numbers. And as long as we ignore equity and historic emissions, and as long as we don't include consumption of imported goods, burning of biomass, etc., etc., and as long as clever accounting is one of the most efficient ways of reducing emissions, we won't get anywhere.
What do you see as the meaning of the term revolutionary?
Well, there's no single, simple meaning of the term revolutionary. A revolutionary is a man or a woman who is a lot of things, but basically, the revolutionary wants to change the nature of society in a way to promote a world where the needs and interests of the people are responded to. A revolutionary realizes, however, that in order to create a world where human beings can live and love and be healthy and create, you have to completely revolutionize the entire fabric of society. You have to overturn the economic structure where you have a few individuals who are in possession of the vast majority of the wealth in this country that's been produced by the majority of the people, and you have to destroy this political apparatus which, under the guise of revolutionary government, perpetrates the most incredible misery on the masses of people.
One of the interesting things about the term revolutionary is the fact that people, so many people, see it in the context of violence, that revolutionary means violence. Violence every day, every minute, at any given time, no matter what the circumstances. How do you view this in the context of violence?
Well, of course, that's part and parcel of the same attempt to separate and isolate revolutionaries from the people. Of course, revolution does not mean violence in the sense that that's its defining characteristic.
Yet there are those who see it that way.
Well, that's done in a very conscious manner to mislead people and to lead people to, for instance, equate a progressive socialist revolution with fascism. During the time that I was out in the streets and speaking throughout California, I found it incredible how many people defined socialism or communism as if it were the third way. Certainly, of course, though, in the history of revolutions, and not only socialist revolutions, but bourgeois democratic revolutions also. The American Revolution, for instance, you have had the occurrence of violence as a means of seizing power from the oppressor. But why? This is because the oppressors have failed to acknowledge the fact that the people were right and that the people had the right to control their lives and to control their destinies. And they are the ones who always initiate the violence. If people are serious about moving ahead to create a better society, then of course they should not allow themselves to be deterred simply because a few people at the top who are in possession usually of a monopoly on violence decide that they're going to unleash all of their forces of repression to stop them.
I ain't trying to be hard, but I'm guilty as charged.
A number of nice words, promises. We'll meet next year and see if we can do anything. But essentially, that's the content, which is what was anticipated. And it teaches us, it reinforces a lesson that we already knew. The only way anything is going to change, the only chance for humanity, to borrow their phrase, is for massive, organized, popular action and opposition. The important part of COP26 was what was happening in the streets. That's the hope for humanity. And unless many more people become involved and more deeply engaged, that hope may vanish.
This is history in the making. Shut the f*** up and let me make it. Please don't shut me down. I'm flying. I'm higher.
The people in power cannot claim that they are trying, because they are clearly not, as they continue opening up brand new coal mines, oil fields and pipelines, pretending to have ambitious climate policies while granting new oil licenses, exploring enormous future oil fields, and shamelessly congratulating themselves while still failing to come up with even the bare minimum and long overdue funding to help the most vulnerable countries deal with the impacts of the climate crisis. If this is what they consider to be climate action, then we don't want it. They invite cherry-picked young people to meetings like this to pretend that they are listening to us. But they are not. They are clearly not listening to us. And they never have. Just look at the numbers. Just look at the statistics. The emissions are still rising. The science doesn't lie.
Like a chameleon shedding my coat, shedding my skin, all the places I've been. Like a chameleon shedding my coat, yeah.